because you don't want to tear, and you want it to be able to just come right apart. Okay, so now they're coming apart now. Okay. All right, so let's just put these aside and let me show you what the bigger Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine does, which is pretty much the same thing. But I like how they just fold up and they're easily put away. So this one obviously is much larger, and the platforms are bigger as well. Now this one has some different plates. So the base plate is number 1, and that always goes down first. And then when you're die cutting, I'm using plate 2 because it's showing me here in this diagram that this needs to be in there. It's like a shim. And then my plate that I'm going to cut on is here. And then I've got my other plate. Now normally the plates look like this, pristine, when they're new, and it's super hard to put them through their first cut. So what I tend to do is I will use my nasty one for the bottom. I'll use one for the top. You can see that after a while it does get impressions on it. There's nobody that's die cut in it, but it does tend to have little impressions on it. And so once this one gets worn out, then I'll put this one down as the base plate and I'll put a pristine one on top. And then whenever I'm die cutting, I try to turn them upside down, back and forth. So I don't know if you can see this, but this cups just a little bit this way. So there's a little bit of a curve on this side. So when it's doing that, I just continue to use this side until it starts to bow up the other way. What ends up happening is over time, you'll find that paper gets into these little cuts. And the more paper that builds up in these little cuts, the more let me just see if I can show you, the more it'll bow this way. More paper that gets into it, the more it bows away. So then you just flip it over and you use the side that's cupped. And then, but if you want to be really consistent, like every couple of turns, just flip it over. Same thing with this side. You'll see that this will cup a little bit. So whenever it's cupped one way, then I'll turn it over and cup it the other way. Okay, so let's do a couple more snowflakes and see if I've got some more scraps. I think I showed you this, that I tend to save all my scraps so that I can just continue to use them. I keep them in a little cellophane bag, 8.5 by 11, or actually it's probably 12 inches by 9 inches. Stampin' Up! Sells them. You can always get your demonstrator to purchase them from, because they're a supply item for our demonstrators, or you can get some other. Okay, so just going to put this through. So these Stampin' Cut and Emboss machines have a 3-year warranty. So I had this for about 1.5 years, and something went wrong with it. I emailed Stampin' Up! Support, and they immediately sent me a new one, had me put my old one in the box and ship it back. So it has a 3-year warranty. They're really sturdy, nice, heavy, and I think that it'll last a good long time. Okay. So you're wondering what we're going to do with these snowflakes, aren't you? Okay, so let me get these little snowflakes out. Get all these plates out of the way. So whenever I have die cut that has some intricate stuff, I use my pick a tool, and you can just poke out the little pieces. It makes a little bit of a mess, but and then whenever I get my dies, I always get these adhesive-backed magnet plates, and I'll put them on the paper that the dies come, because they come with just a little sticky, and I find that the sticky with no time at all tends to stop being sticky and your dies fall off and you can't keep track of them. So I just keep them on this little magnet, and that way they don't get lost. So they don't come this way when Stampin' Up! Sends them to you. They send them on a piece of paper with sticky strips. So, okay. Do a little cleanup here. This cute. It's a little vacuum, little ladybug vacuum. They have different vacuums out there. Okay. All right. So what are we going to do with those? Well, I'm going to be using this really pretty snowflake in the season of Chic. See if I can say this right. Stamp set. And it goes with these little snowflakes. So this is the card we're going to make. It's really simple. I just stamped it, and I'll show you how I stamped it here in just a minute. But what I want to do is I want to add some 3D elements to it. And this way I can add a couple of snowflakes. And doesn't that just really make it pop? It's really pretty. It's a very pretty stamp set. Okay, so I'm going to start with a 3.5 by 4 3/4 piece of basic white cardstock. And I am using Starry Sky. That's what this paper is. Just makes a really pretty seasonal card. It doesn't have to be Christmas. This season of Chic does not have Christmas sayings in it. They have "You make each season of life more beautiful." And then they have "Birthday," "I'm here for you," "You are amazing beyond measure," "Thanks," "Thinking of you," and "Love you." So this is actually a really great set all year long. You can add a sentiment if you want to for the snowflakes. There's leaves for fall. There's a beach shell for summer. There's flowers for spring. Little speckles. There's all kinds of fun stuff you can do with this. Okay, so I've taught you how to do Stampin' Off, where you ink up your stamp and then you stamp away. And then I'm just going to come back and add more snowflakes. Each time I stamp the snowflake, it gets lighter. So it makes for a really pretty card. Okay. This is a pretty dark color, so I like to clean them off as quickly as I can so it doesn't stain it too badly. Okay, and then I'm going to do the verse in full strength ink. Line this up so I can kind of make sure I'm getting it straight. Okay, and it's a beautiful card just all by itself. It doesn't have to have necessarily anything more. But we're going to add a layer of the Starry Sky. And then I'll add it to a card back. This is just basic white again. Now, instead of just gluing it down, which I could, I'm going to go ahead and use some dimensionals and pop it up. Love dimensionals. I don't know why, but I just do. Not everybody likes them, but I always try to put some in the middle so that it doesn't collapse. You want to make sure all your stamping is done before you add dimensionals. I've made that mistake before. Okay. Now, with this pretty little snowflake, you know how I've showed you that I always use up every single bit of my dimensionals before I toss them? Well, the smaller dimensionals, these are the mini dimensionals. So there's mini, which are, I'm not sure if you can see that, this size. And there is, excuse me, the regular ones, which are this size. So you can see the difference in the sizes. So I'm going to use some mini ones because these little snowflakes are small. But what I'll tend to do is I'll cut up and I'll cut my little dimensionals in half. And this is where it's nice if you can get yourself a little pair of tweezers. And I'll adhere dimensionals to the back. See if I can get a second one in here so it's not noticeable. Okay, so we're going to make sure that the snowflake is not covering up the words. And put this one here. I'll put that one there. There we go. Isn't that pretty? Okay, so to add a little bit more bling to my winter card, I'm going to add this embellishment. It's the rhinestone basic jewels, so just something sparkly. They look like little diamonds. And there's 3 different sizes. I'll add the big one to the big snowflake, the medium one to the medium snowflake, and a little tiny one to the little one. Isn't that pretty? So just a really pretty card. So if you don't want to add embellishments, you can add something a little different. Let me show you. I'm going to change things around a little bit. Okay, now instead of adding embellishments, there's something called Wink of Stella, and I'm just going to add the Wink of Stella. It's like a liquid with all kinds of little sparkles, and it adds a lot of shimmer to whatever I want to add it to. Now I could have used the Wink of Stella directly on my little snowflakes, but they're a little intricate. It's just a way to add some shimmer so they look like for real snowflakes. And I could have made white snowflakes. but why make white? So hopefully you can see this shimmer. It's a little bit of shimmer there. Yeah, I think you can see that. Just a little bit of shimmer. So isn't that pretty? All right, so that's the Stampin' Cut and Emboss Machine today. Next time I'll show you how to do some embossing, which I want to say it's dry embossing. I don't know if you've ever seen, we used to use little metal templates or plastic ones, and then we would use the little stylus, and I think I showed you the stylus when we did the faux tile last week, and we'd rub in there and rub and rub and rub to try to get a 3D look. Well, now they have these plastic embossing folders that make for really beautiful things. All right, before I wrap this up, I just wanted to show you some of the cards that I did that are in my next card class, or my card club. So this one is made with the beautiful designer series paper, the textured Chic, and I've just got two of them here. One of them has some snowflakes on it, and then I added snowflakes in gold, white, soft succulent, and pool party. So it just really makes for a beautiful card. And I'm using the textured Chic, the Memories and More card pack, which comes with 20 cards. So it's really, really beautiful. And then this one again is using the same card pack. And I die cut. I didn't do anything on either one of these except for stamp the verse. So I stamped the verse. Everything else is cardstock and dies. So very little stamping. If you're feeling like stamping is not your thing, this is a great way to get beautiful cards. Again, the only stamping I did was the verse, and then I just layered different layers of cardstock. Used some of this distressed gold so you can see it. I had distressed gold. These are dies from this set. So you can see there's the leaves, there's the little shell, the snowflake again, the flower, and then this really beautiful texture. So it's just a really beautiful card. And again, it's the Memories and More, the textured Chic Memories and More cards and envelope. And it's got a beautiful gold embossing on it as well. So these are a little bit larger than the standard A2 card. So these are 6 1/4 by 4 1/4. So they are definitely bigger than the 5 1/2 by 4 1/4. So they're the same width, but they're definitely taller. So you can see that. Okay, and then this is another card that I made. Same thing, but this time I did add some ink splats from this stamp right here to the background, and then everything else was die cut. The shells were die cut from the designer series paper, and then I used the distressed gold to die cut some more. And I used a little bit of the cardstock. Just added a little bit of scraps in the inside just to kind of give it a really pretty look. So these are part of my card club. I'll be sending PDF instructions on how to make these. It'll be this card, these 3 cards, and one more, along with half a pack of the designer series paper. You'll be getting the embellishments. These are the in color opal rounds, and you'll be getting the soft succulent satin edged ribbon, 3/8 inch satin edged ribbon. So just really beautiful. And I think that they're for any time of year, and you can make them for guys or for girls. You can change the sentiments around however you'd like to, but it's going to be a really beautiful kit. So thank you for joining me. I hope you have a good evening, and I hope you have a great week, and we'll talk soon. Again, this is Angela with Wildvioletsart. If you see this on social media, please share, click like, or subscribe to my channel. And I look forward to talking to you again next week.